getting set up with Rabby and MetaMask, how to get assets into those wallets, right? So from here, we've got our wallet connected, and I do have a balance. So now we can actually go ahead and use these different markets. AAVE supports many different markets. That's what they call them, but they're actually just different blockchains. So if you go to the markets tab here, I'm on Base. Now you can use Ethereum, you can use any of these blockchains. Ethereum, the Ethereum mainnet, has the largest market. You can see right here the total borrows are about 6 billion, market size is 16 billion. Which blockchain should you use? It doesn't actually matter. They're all going to have different markets, but they all work in the same way, which is there's borrowers and there's suppliers of assets, and so there will be an interest rate that you can either get if you supply assets, or you have to pay if you're borrowing assets. It probably is coming down to where you have your assets initially and what assets are supported. Ethereum has the most amount of markets. You can see them all here. So for different tokens, we're just going to focus on ETH for this example. They all, of course, carry ETH for the most part. So we're going to go to, let's say, Base. You can see the market is a lot smaller and there are far fewer assets supported here. It depends on which assets that you actually want to lend and borrow. And then if you're actually borrowing against your assets and you want to use the borrowed asset in other parts of DeFi. So if you're borrowing some ETH against some ETH that you have, you're actually leveraging up, you want to use that in a different protocol, then it obviously is important where you have those assets. You can choose, right? So I'm just going to show you Base for this example. Now from here, you can see there's a supply APY and a borrow APY. If you are borrowing, you first have to supply the assets anyway. So what you have to do is essentially take the borrow APY and the supply APY, and then you get a net APY that you're going to be paying if you borrow. So supply APY is 3% here, borrow APY is, let's say 5%. So your net APY if you're borrowing is 2% that you're paying. You can also see this on the right-hand side, this icon. Occasionally on different blockchains, you may get incentives. This is an incentive running at the moment. And so if you're supplying, you actually get extra incentives in some other token or some other incentive that you might get paid. So if you see that, that's what it is. But that's a different market.